Well, that was a good Christmas. Got a lot of great stuff. I got this microphone. Can't wait to test that out when I start my next part. But I got also Ghost Trick for the DS. I heard some great stuff about it. I think I'm gonna play it a little bit. And I'll get to like the first 2 levels or so. And then I'll get started on the next part. So, I'll just turn this on real quick. Alright. Alright, maybe a few more levels. Not too many. I really got to get started on this next part. I want to get it out before New Year's. But, yeah, this shouldn't take me too long. I almost got this. You died again? From chicken? Okay, so what's this? It's Missile! Alright. Final puzzle. I'm not leaving this spot till I finally beat Ghost Trick. Yes! Got it! Aha! Alright. So let's figure out who you really are. What? The Bagra Army. Remember that scene in the first couple seconds of the first episode where it's in Taiki's dream and he's seeing the Bagra Army and it's this massive organization? I mean, this completely massive army. You've got Tankmon, you've got Mammothmon. This looks pretty goddamn epic, and this is the ending. This army must be pretty tough if the hero apparently has to rely on the main Digimon from the past to help him fight this big climactic battle. But of course that was a dream. But then when we see them for real, when Taiki first enters the digital world, he is confronted by the Bagra Army immediately. And I mean, Jesus, look at how many Mammothmon there are! And look at those pterodactyl things I can't remember the names of. Then you got those little guys with guns. This is like a super awesome fighting force. I don't see how our heroes are going to be able to fight this thing. They're probably going to have to run away and... Oh. This is when I realized 2 things. One, the level systems are gone. There is no way a rookie level looking Digimon would be able to one-shot an ultimate level Mammothmon. Just, no, that's not how it works. 2, it made me realize that this show is pulling probably one of my least favorite cliches out of any cliche in history. And that is just having the villain's army being made up of nothing but complete wusses and pansies that the heroes just pathetically walk all over. It's turning what are supposed to be big, epic fights into, why are they even trying fights? Like, what's even the point of having these foot soldiers if they never seem to do anything other than just die? They're never a challenge to the heroes. The only people that seem to ever become a challenge to the heroes are individual commanders. But for the most part, they're just incompetent, easily manipulated, or just basically retarded. You'll get a few competent ones like Lucemon, or even to an extent Matadormon. But for the most part, they're just sadistic idiots in high command positions, and who just twirl their mustaches as they commit evil acts. Well, how do we know they're evil? Well, if the slavery and mass genocide wasn't a hint, they take part in another cliche that I hate to show how evil they are. They senselessly murder their own soldiers. Is that the whole reason the Bagra Army has these guys around? So they can just be absorbed by the commanders? I think if you want to have a good story, you have to treat the villains with some modicum of respect. Even the army that is just supposed to be there to get beaten up, you have to treat it with some modicum of respect. And also, give me some type... What am I supposed to feel when I see the Bagra Army? Am I supposed to feel worried for our heroes? Worried for their safety? I can tell you I don't. because apparently Kiria can wipe out 1,500 of these guys, no problem. Am I supposed to not take them seriously? Am I supposed to not feel intimidated at all by the Bagra army? If that's the case, don't make them part of the big ending, and don't treat their numbers like we're supposed to feel that this is a big battle because there are so many of them. There is such a large number of Bagra army soldiers in this area. And it's epic. Stuff is going down. Our heroes are in trouble. Let me remind you that an incredibly large amount of Bagra army bug Digimon, this platoon, I don't even know, what's bigger than a platoon? A battalion? It doesn't matter. There seems to be a couple hundred of these. Literally got one shot by Crossheart. They were all wiped out with one shot from Beelzemon and Starmon. In fact, we see during the Death General's half that Grabbymon's forces were getting their ass kicked by this monstrosity. A combination of Nightmon and 6 of Taiki's weakest Digimon. They just couldn't handle it for a while. They were just getting their ass kicked. Too much to handle this stupid looking thing. It really takes the oomph out of the finale, doesn't it? Wanna know what takes an even bigger oomph out of the finale? When Bagramon pretty much just murders all of them. Why would you even bring them? You knew they weren't gonna do anything. Did you not look outside your castle and see your elite guards? That's right, the elite top of the line guards for Bagramon's castle were getting wiped out by the dozens by the heroes. The Bagra army has never been a threat. It's never done anything. It just bothers me because this is where the whole concept, the whole idea of having a war. This is Cross Wars. The whole concept, or the whole idea was to have a war between two sides. But one side is so incredibly weak that it's just the fights that are supposed to, like I said, be big and epic just come off as pointless and boring. I kind of compare the Bagra army to the droid army in Star Wars. We're told that they're tough, we're told that the droid army is conquering the galaxy, but whenever you see them fight, they just get massacred by the Jedi. The Jedi just literally can wave their hands and destroy them. But at least Star Wars had clones the droids can shoot. This one is just, Bagra army troopmon, go up there and die, or get sacrificed. Actually, this makes me wonder, what exactly is your average Bagra army soldier? What does he think he's fighting for, exactly? Because, does he know that Bagramon wants to destroy the world and rebuild it into an evil hellscape? Why would you sign up for that? Especially when you know you're probably just gonna die, or get, like I said, absorbed. I know I'm just angrily ranting. I know that I am, but it's because, in my opinion, the villain's army is easily one of the most abused things in fiction. Yeah, their whole point is to die and get beaten by the heroes, but that doesn't mean you can't give the army some form of personality or general feeling of something. I don't know, give it something. Give it respect, because at the end of the day, I think the villain's army is actually a very important storytelling tool, because the army is supposed to kind of represent the reach of the main villain, in this case Bagramon. And Bagramon seems to be a villain this show wants us to take seriously. And if the show wants us to take Bagramon seriously, then to an extent we have to take the Bagra army itself seriously. In fact, I think the Bagra army does suffer from some of the same problems Bagramon suffers from, in that they are the villains, or at least are present throughout the entire season without any change or anything to keep them interesting. They show up, die, and then the heroes move on. They don't leave any impression on them. Now, some armies in Digimon are not meant to be taken seriously, are not meant to change, and are not necessarily meant to have a lasting impression on our heroes, like the Bakuman army during Season 1. They're obviously not that intimidating if Todd can go and basically beat one up by himself. But it works more in adventure because, well, for two reasons. One, the Bakamon army are not in the season for that long. They're in it for a couple episodes, and their whole point is to go kidnap children. Also, they are not driving the entire concept of the season. The concept of Cross Wars was the idea, in part, to have two armies fighting one another. That's kind of what a war is. Digimon Adventure is not called Digimon Adventure subtitle Amber Alert, because the main focus of the first season is not to protect kids from Boris Karloff child kidnappers. But the entire point of Cross Wars is to defeat the Bagra army. That is why they are present in every episode except for one. And that's when the main villain of that episode was that Trailmon. But for the other, 53 episodes, they're the villains. They're the ones that the heroes are fighting. But because they don't ever do anything I would consider that interesting, the episodes kind of blur together to me. And the fight scenes, for the most part, are really boring because they're so one-sided, and I find myself not really watching the fight, but just sitting down, looking at the screen, thinking, God, I remember Meramon when he was in Adventure. He was so cool. He almost, killed all the kids. But then he ended up befriending them when they ripped that black gear out. And then there was also Andromon. He was also pretty cool. He was pretty tough. I remember the kids never actually beat him. And then Kari had to make him remember their friendship and stuff. Now look at him. Getting butchered by the truckload. And then tossed aside like they were garbage. So good job, Cross Wars. Not only have you completely piggyback and disrespected the memories of past Digimon characters, you've also given my most loathed cliches when it comes to villains form, in the forms of Bagramon and the Bagra army. Alright, that's done. Now we get to actually talk about characters that I think would have made far better villains than Bagramon, and probably would have been better as leaders of the Bagra army. And by that, I mean just about everyone else. But we're going to start off with Mr. Perfection himself, Tactimon. Get hyped, everyone, because I am. Good night.